We go. Back once more to the Imperium of Man. Explore the darkest depths of the untread space and probably get killed by the many emperors. Not enemies. There's only one emperor, many enemies. Many enemies. Whenever it finishes loading. So, if I remember correctly, I had to talk to... I have to talk to Applard?
Lord Captain.
Talk about things that may be useful to me. I'd like to know more about my seneschal. Call me by my first name. It doesn't
Lord
look
Captain.
like it. Looks like that's more if I need something. And I need nothing! I know precisely what I'm doing. At all times. Bridge office. I think Argenta wanted to.
Rogue trader.
Yep, that's me. You have a personal request from me.
I have a request, Rogue trader.
The cursed servants of chaos who assaulted this ship took the lives of your loyal crew members, and they orphaned many children, including the progeny of the brave officers who defended their post until the bitter end. I don't know what customary practices there are for cases like this in Von Valancia's territory, but in the world I'm familiar with, the children of such brave souls could expect to receive some special consideration. Perhaps the rogue trader could meet with the orphans? Oh my god! A sister of battle with a heart? Well, that's unusual in the extreme. It can be pretty heartless. What good would meeting them do? Why would I give them hope? Make arrangements for a meeting worthy of a rogue trader. I will meet with the orphans with a speech. That just seems overblown and not very honest. I will meet with them. No formalities needed. These are the children of the people who gave their lives for the Von Valancius dynasty. My consideration is the least they deserve. Why would I? Do you wish to fill these children's heads with the illusion that the world and its rulers care about them? I will have no part in this. How dare you ask me to give people hope? How unforgivably human of you. I'll meet with them. No formalities. To the lower decks! Yes, yes, clap for me. A motley group of adolescents do not take their eyes off you, gazing at you as if you were a creature straight from a fairy tale. As far as they're concerned, it might as well be. Our indefatigable... I have no idea how to say that word. Sister has been keeping an eye on these pups. Abelard glances at the gathered children. It is hardly the Scola Progenium in here, but we have provided the orphans on our ship with adequate care and instruction. I like it when games like... This is such a nice thing with newer CRPGs that I feel like it didn't see with some of the older ones. I mean, maybe I just don't remember well enough, but I feel like a lot of older CRPGs you were just kind of expected to know everything. But all these new ones have like these mouse overs and stuff that you can look up the lore in game and just understand what it's throwing at you. Argenta is standing to the side of the group. At your approach, she perks up and announces, her voice ringing, "Brave ones, The master of this ship has appeared before you, the one who guides it through the darkness of the universe by the Emperor's will. Greet your Lord Captain, the rogue traitor of House von Valancius. It's just horrible. Address the chaperones, give them treats, and escort them to their homes. I believe a minute of beholding the Lord Captain is a great enough honor for them. That is so conceited. Come on, Ian. Oh. Restarting my computer reset my mixer. Good. Always. Even the mic. Not the mouse. Mouse was not. Oh. I, the rogue trader and Lord Captain of this ship, speak up. I'm gonna smile at them. I greet you. The teenagers keep staring at you. A girl who has remained close to Argenta smiles uncertainly. A skinny, pale lad tries to I can't speak today. Throw his shoulders back and stand at attention like a soldier. Only a few teenagers at the far end of the road seem sullen and not particularly impressed. One of the scowling visitors with a thin scar across his face tosses his head back and says bitterly, "So what? Why should we care? Our friends and parents died in the dozens for you, noble lot. You just give us speeches." Argenta quickly turns to the boy. A flurry of emotions flashes in her dark eyes, like she wants to both calm him and scold him for his impudence. And I could just turn to addressing the chaperones again. Their comportment leaves much to be desired. I hope they will be molded into worthy servants of House von Valancius. This audience is over. Or punish the troublemaker, put the rest in their bays. This audience is over. Awful. He has every reason to be angry. If you have things to say them without fear. I will listen. The boy smiles grimly. Doesn't matter what we say. It won't bring our parents back, and it won't change our fates either. We'll keep slaving away on the ship until we drop and die like our folks or worse. I can still renege, just be like, chaperones, stick them back in their boxes. Strong have the power to decide the fate of others. The weak either obey or die. If you seek a different lot in life, save your grumbling and look for an opportunity to rise above. When the heretics who killed your parents attacked the ship, I was there, I took command, I fought, and I repelled the assault as quickly as I could. But no war can be won without losses. You can only strive to do what is within your power. I understand your grief and dismay. Your parents died. It's not an easy thing to go through, but they gave their lives for the truth, for the good of the whole ship, for the Imperium. Do not speak of their honorable fate with anger and disdain. You heard the rogue trader. His words carry the wisdom of the Imperium. And like, you can say they died for us noble types, but we were in there fighting too. Not as if we stood behind them and cowered like they were a shield wall. It's hard to say whether or not your words have left an impression on the boy, but he nods slowly, then he catches himself and gives you an awkward bow. Abelard gives a sign, and servants immediately emerge carrying packaged treats with Von Valancius emblazoned on the wrappers. It appears that the seneschal came prepared for any contingency. I'm sorry. That image of guardsmen just like throwing handfuls of treats at kids is so Counter to 40k. Argenta rubs her temple pensively. She smiles and offers a few more words of encouragement, then leaves the boy. This is quite a big chunk of talking. And do I get to shoot some more heretics? Or aliens or something. Ignatius. It's still crazy to me that ships in 40k are so huge that you have to have a police force. Oh. Cronus Expanse map. That's one of the things that is really hard to wrap your head around is the scale of these games. My ship? Well, those are fun letters. Not explored scan is required. Visit Riccati Filia, prison planetoid. Unidentified void ship, Rycad Minoris. So this is the Novice Nobilite station, and it's if I'm correct, and this is my ship, it's right here. I don't know if this game cares about time. There's a surprising amount of these types of games care about time. Oh, yep, that's my ship. Go to the closest thing. Lord Captain, reporting. The heralds of the Novice Nobilite continue to maintain Vox silence. Perhaps due to Urak 5 being off-limits to visitors, we intercepted signals from the beacons drifting in the station's orbit. The demands are clear. We are told to turn the ship around immediately. We have also detected an accumulation of space debris near the station's docks. Presumably, it is the remains of interplanetary shuttles. Perhaps the esteemed Novice Nobilite House requires aid, and therefore cannot respond to our Vox transmission. That's shady. Yeah, don't bother us. Also, our station is surrounded by the broken remains of interplanetary shuttles. That's a red flag right there. There's a chaos infestation flag. Or aliens or something. We will not invade a Novice Nobilite station without first acquiring official approval. Yeah, technically probably the case, but also not having a navigator is bad. And this is probably where the navigator is. Because until I get a navigator, I'm stuck in this system and can do nothing else. There's plenty of other issues, but no navigator is kind of the biggest. I will negotiate personally. I'm sorry, Lord Captain. The station does not reply even after an official greeting by a rogue trader and the declaration of your intent to negotiate in person. They scan it. Yes, Lord Captain. The box remains silent for a while, but then you hear static in Vigdis's measured voice. The officers from the Augur crew performed a full scan of the station, but the information is imprecise. They note wave distortions of unclear genesis that are throwing off most of the readings. We were able to ascertain that the reactor core of the station is still active, but many compartments are unpowered and some fully depressurized. The signs of biological activity are largely present in the central module, which means the station has not been abandoned. So the question remains, why are these esteemed navigators heralds ignoring us? So obviously something bad is going on here, because a bunch of wrecked interplanetary shuttles and half the station is offline. Yeah, I feel like something is bad. Yeah, dock with the station. Obviously, whoever's warning us off is not in the best interest of the novice. Affirmative, Lord Captain. We do not know what is happening at the station, so you will have to look for the esteemed navigators blind. Dock safely, and may the God Emperor light your path. He need no game, watching it load. Yeah, something bad's happening.
Pathetic worm. You dare to argue with your master?
It was not you whom I swore to serve within these walls. My lips are sealed.
Confess. What was the old man's last command? What are you planning?
Give up, Keeper. You have lost this battle. Again.
We're getting nowhere with these ones, sir. Permission to execute them.
You'll be consigned to oblivion for your transgressions against House Arcelio. Immortal Emperor, deliver your servants from peril. Prayers will not help you, servant of the damned. In the name of House Arcelio, I command you to execute the infidels. Took him a moment to realize they were dead. Not a step further. Master, we have some strange guests on the station. A tall man stops you with a gesture when you approach. Blood is trickling down the pearly scales of his weary face. And not just his own blood. Two jet-black, unblinking eyes are watching your every move. And the third one, the mark of a navigator's fate, is menacingly pulsing behind a lowered lid in the middle of his forehead. Step back, or I will unleash all the horrors of the Sea of Souls upon you. Emperor, be my witness. Abelard, if you would be so kind. Okay, you know what? Abelard, announce me. The seneschal takes a deep breath. Before you stands his lordship, the rogue traitor Ignatius von Valancius, heir to the greatest protectorate in the Coronis expanse, and bearer of the sacred warrant of trade. Allow me to point out the nobilite custom requires the Lord Navigator to introduce himself first. But given the, unusual circumstances on the station, his lordship the rogue trader is willing to turn a blind eye to your hostility. But just this once. In this case, I shall turn a blind eye to your unceremonious invasion. But just this once. There's a dangerous glint in the man's dark-shrouded eyes. Very well, allow me to introduce myself. Before you stands Felix Riftstoff August, keeper of this place. So you did not arrive to offer support to the traders? This is great news. Having said that, you must understand that Urak 5 is a holy sanctum for House Arcelio, The path to it is only revealed to a select few. It pains me to say you are not on the guest list. Tell me what's happening on the station. Where do all these corpses come from? Betrayal. The most banal thing in the life of the nobility, don't you think? I was stabbed in the back by my closest friend Theobald Orselio, the second keeper of Urak 5 and my mentor. On his instructions, my own people sabotaged the generators, blew up the shuttles, and brutally massacred the loyal servants of my mistress. Most unforgivably, they dared to take her prisoner. Greedy scum. I swear by the throne's light, their souls will perish in the darkness of the void. Bellic falls silent for a few minutes and then furiously slams the end of its staff into the floor. Madmen have captured Lady Cassia and are now torturing her upstairs, while we are idly chatting down here. Help me rescue her or be gone. Waste no more of my precious time. Okay, what kind of help are you talking about? I would never ask you for such a favor under different circumstances, and yet... Bellic takes a hand away from his ribcage, notices blood, and winces in pain. And yet Lady Cassia's well-being is above all. I haven't got many people left, and my wounds are too deep for me to act with precision and swiftness. But you may actually succeed. In order to ascend to the mistress's chambers, you will need to remake a holy relic, sanctified with the blood of Lady Orselio herself. This is the control rod of the elevator machine spirit. I have one part, and the other was lost during the mutiny, but even this relic will be of no use unless the elevator mechanism is powered. How do I remake the control rod? I have a phylactery containing the mistress's blood. It needs to be taken to the laboratory, which is located behind one of the reliquary doors. The most ancient of sacred mechanisms will help to rebuild the rod. The tech priests ceaselessly perform the rites of appeasement so the machine spirit would serve the house in its time of need. The fateful hour is now upon us. And how am I supposed to power the elevator? The station's main cogitator is situated in the guard room. Just enter the correct command sequence and the sacred mechanism will do the rest. Okay, that makes sense. So what have you decided, descendant of the Von Valancius line? That is a way to say things. The rogue trader's aid will cost House Orselio, but you should rejoice, for your mistress will live. That's shady wording right there. Like, I will rescue your mistress, but in return I require that House Orselio sign a contract with my protectorate. The rogue trader's aid will cost House Orselio. The woes of your house upset the balance of power in this part of the galaxy. I will help you, if not for the sake of profit, but for the good of the Imperium. Felix nods curtly. You should hurry, then. We will stay here to hold the line and lick our wounds. Good luck, rogue trader, and may the Emperor's light be with you. Okay.
White. Bright, pure color. And it's all riddled with horrible veins that carry the poison of fear and pain throughout its body. Who are you? Why are you crying?
Okay.
The witch is talking about the enemy's vanity who set upon this abode of noble navigators. Then our weapons will soon dispel their wicked misery.
There's still some guards floating around.
Attention to detail is the key to success.
Sins hidden in the heart turn all to decay. day. I better myself through my service.
Oh, we leveled up. Level up. I get a talent. +1 damage deflection, plus 25% to your armor. Oh, I already have that. Whereas next melee attack against that enemy deals +4 damage. Not stacked, but it can be reactivated after another attack made by either the same enemy or a different one. If the warrior has less than 50% wounds, they gain 5 plus tough plus agility bonus % critical hit chance. Damage dealt by charge is increased by plus tough plus strength bonus when the ability is used from a distance of 5 or more cells. That's oddly specific. The more I fiddle with this game, the more it feels like Pathfinder. Enemies suffer a -10% penalty to their hit chance with ranged attacks against the warrior for every enemy in a 1-cell radius around the warrior, stacks up to 3 times. It's kind of good. Charge and push increase the damage of ranged attacks made against affected enemies by 5 plus wisdom bonus. Not wisdom. WS. Weapon skill. I got Pathfinder on the brain. Until the end of combat does not stack. Ramming speed. Increases charge distance by +3 cells. Pretty good. Ute and Anna. There's a lot of stuff. Enemies gain no melee superiority bonuses against this character on melee, so that doesn't help. Dual weapon combat. Character can attack with a second weapon in their current set, in addition to the usual one attack per round. This attack suffers a -20 penalty to weapon skill and ballistic skill and costs 1 AP more. Huh. Increases wounds by half of the character's level rounded up. Not a lot, but then again, I've only got 26 health so far. More health isn't terrible. Plus 10% dodge. +2 movement points. I actually want Whenever the warriors, this is the one that attack that gets done. Break through. Cautious disengage. Take less damage from attacks of opportunity. Clenched teeth. Warrior gains +4 damage deflection against the first attack made by every enemy this combat. Deflection determines the amount of damage deducted whenever an enemy hits the character. That's just straight damage reduction. That's kind of good. Area attacks deal an additional 1+ strength bonus divided by 2 damage for each enemy in the area of effect. So, current strength bonus is 3, so 2 damage for each enemy in the area of effect. So, like, I use a sword attack. I could theoretically hit 3 people, and each of them takes an extra 6. I feel like I want to pump up my strength more. Strength is relatively low compared to some of my other important stats. The warrior becomes incredibly deft. Charge and slash do not end the warrior's movement and grant 10+ agility bonus % dodge for 1 round after use. Increase charge distance. Weapon skill. Ew. What did I start? Warrior and not soldier. Soldier. Becomes the question is. Better to die for the Emperor. While under 40% wounds, Imperial World characters gain +10 dual characteristics and +2 to resolve. Doing my part. If no other character in the current party has the same archetype as this character, the first archetype ability used in each combat by this character costs 1 AP less. No heresy. Imperial World characters gain +10% crit chance and +10% armor against Xenos or demons. Their allies gain half the bonuses of no heresy. When an Imperial World character is affected by an ally's non-damaging ability or effects, an ally with such an ability, their resolve is increased by fellowship divided by 2 for 1 round. Stronger together. All allies excluding Xenos in the current party gain +5 to the same characteristic as was chosen for humanity's finest. Suffer negative effects of melee superiority for the entire combat. All allies affected by brace for impact gain +30% to cover penetration. The Navy officer also permanently gains 15% cover penetration. Scatter! All allies affected by brace for impact suffer only half damage from attacks of opportunity. I don't want to give him chain weapon expert. +4 maximum damage. Because he's already got a chain sword. Stuff is based off willpower. But more perception wouldn't hurt. Ah, thank you, Hubble. Welcome, welcome. I am once again playing the 40k game. Willpower. Might as well just pump her casting stat, I imagine. Flawless plan. Pretty sure these are the suggested ones. The first dodge attempt of every enemy in combat suffers -7 + 7 times Psyker's psi rating percent penalty. That is a gibberish number. Beginning of every combat, the Psyker's allies gain +15% critical hit chance. The first critical hit removes this effect. That sounds awesome. You shoot better. Critical hit damage is... Whenever they deal damage, the critical hit damage is increased by 1% until the end of combat. That... I feel like that would not do a lot. Each shot fired by the soldier grants them +1 agility until the end of their next turn. I have +2 agility bonus %. More damage to enemies. I think that's gonna happen. Who kills? That's good. I think I want the better cover though. Keep everyone alive.
Is there money to be made?
Okay, there's enemies in here somewhere. It's gotta be some kind of warp corruption, like chaos crud.
Keep your wits about you.
Because the big oh. We must not let the miscreants defile House Orcelio. Fire at will for House Orcelio. Okay. Clearly, both sides think they are fighting, quote-unquote, for House Orcelio. Ew. That does not cover. This is cover, though. You two want to be up here, I think. Abelard and I want to be out here. You throw your lightning bolt at them.
But of course.
Because the big thing with,
Anything else?
with the novice nobility, with the navigators, is that they're the people who make FTL possible in 40k.
On it.
They are psychers and mutants with a third eye that lets them see when ships travel through the warp. But of course, because they got crazy psychic stuff and do all this warp shenanery, the chaos stuff tends to follow them around kind of extensively. I'm not... I think
Faith without deeds is worthless.
You only missed half of your shots this time.
As the Emperor commands, I act.
So, try it again.
I'll do it.
Okay, you missed most of them that time, but, you know, you're trying. And I get to him.
On it.
Yes. Charge.
Your end was in
It is really funny to me how the charge is just, I slide across the ground.
I'll see to it. You never stood a chance.
Well, that went well.
Break their morale! My faith's
I'm getting shot by the medic.
A mere pain was
Hi, you hit your own guy.
vigilant.
Thank you.
For the glory of the Imperium!
every setback.
Tried and tested tactics are the best ones.
How far can you get there? You're not gonna get to do a lot this turn.
I will do my duty.
So use your defensive abilities. Keep everybody alive.
Prescience has failed me.
Brace yourself, Abelard.
Quite a lot of hits with that gun. Not a lot of damage. Make his head explode. There we go. Lord.
No can do.
Oh, he's too far away. Well, I already used a thing. Are any of them within analyze range?
Will do.
Weapon at the ready.
I'll brush this off.
The enemies of the Emperor will be undone.
That was a horrible shot.
High momentum.
Ooh, I got the momentum. That sound effect always spooks me. Alright, take him out with a regular hit,
Other enemy down. Who, if not
and then
we?
charge him.
Your end was inevitable.
Follow my lead. Break their morale!
My ears are
Hitting a lot of zeros there, bud.
Strengthens me.
Which is all good for me. I like being hit for 0 damage.
This is at the fore. Victory is imminent. Reduced to dust.
Well, he did not survive. Unfortunate for him, great for me.
This foreboding.
Anybody in range? No.
I will bathe this battlefield in righteous fury. As the Emperor commands, I act.
You're just doing a lot of hitting that guy's cover. The melee people are just gonna take care of everything.
Chance.
Pain and duty go hand
Gotta figure that feels terrible. You've got an entire squad of guys with guns, and 2 dudes with swords just wreck all of you. But I mean, welcome to 40k, I suppose. Why carry a gun like a sane person when you can just have a sword that is also a chainsaw? A good major domo attempts to nurture only the finest flowers in the garden that is their master's life. Therefore, new seeds for the garden must be weeded out with the utmost care, so that the garden's trees may yield the sweetest fruit. So this is the life of a laundromat. Okay. They're dropping lots of stuff. Yeah, an entire station lived in by a bunch of navigators. Just asking for warp shenanigans. Although it does seem a little bit weird so far, because none of them seem like chaos corrupted. They just don't seem friendly. Any of the stuff I picked up better than what I knew. Regular las pistol. Las pistols. His armor is better. This is better armor, but lose her dodge. Not good. And her armor's just better. She's also got more of a dodge penalty. The Tau make the most sense in universe. They don't bother with mail. Yeah. Yeah, they're the ones who are like, you know, we have these guns. Why would we train for melee combat?
I always have a backup plan.
The crew continues to mourn Lady Theodora.
Navigator
I
flesh
fear
symbol.
it
That's
may affect the
concerning.
performance of their duties in service of the Lord Captain.
Let the people grieve. Lady Theodora was with us so long that we started to believe she was immortal.
Just as I planned.
Gloves. So I guess the melee... I guess melee being so common in 40k makes sense given 40k is so rife with things that are honestly just very hard to kill with anything. Shooting a space marine with a tank gun is not overkill, for instance. Crap.
The Emperor favors me today.
Having a melee alternative makes a lot of sense when you have for instance, some Necron constructs have the ability to phase out and move through solid objects, so being melee capable makes a lot of sense when something can just crawl out of the walls and start scything into you with giant talons. Now I see you're in league with them. Is this an insurrection? Yes, indeed. Death to the traitors. Told me, they whispered. Who are you? And then he just keels over. Was this guy just having a brain aneurysm, or was that actually a thing? Was that plot, or was that just a guy with some serious issues? Data crypt.
Keep your wits about you. That's how it's done.
But I mean, even outside of that context, 40K has a decidedly amazing amount of people with, I'm gonna swing my sword at it, itis. I think the one that people always like to pick on are the Space Marine models that are Space Marines on motorcycles with swords. So it's like, drive me closer, I'm gonna hit him with my sword. It's like, it's a little crazy. Oh. Oh, there's an eyeball on the wall. For some reason, the archenemy's twisted influences found its way into the station. Yep. Yep. Chaos, madness. Yep. Yep. Definitely chaos. I'm just sure in what way. I'm missing something. Oh, there's a door back here. Okay. Awaken the cogitator spirit. The cogitator's vid screen is covered in cracks and stained with dried blood. The buttons, switches, and levers were ripped out of the control panel with exceptional cruelty and scattered around the sacred mechanism that now sparks and hisses in agony, still refusing to perish. Awaken the cogitator. Turn a few of the remaining dials and pull the activation lever. The cracked vid screen of the sacred engine flickers. The cogitator's insides emit creaks and groans, and the lumens oscillate at random. It takes a while, but eventually the machine spirits do grant you access to the cogitator's systems. Let's learn about these people. Bellic Orselio, location main hall, alive. Theobald Orselio, upper chambers, alive. Calamira Orselio, upper chambers, dead. Alexius, lower levels, dead. Rasmus Estevan, unknown, dead. The child. Location, upper chambers. Biometric parameters, rapid heartbeat, elevated body temperature, stress level exceeds the permissible limit, status, unknown error. Attention, calming procedures advised. Attention, upper chambers inaccessible. Error, the control rod is not present. If the rod has been misplaced, immediately contact a station keeper or the Navis Laboratum custodian. That's interesting. I bought the first book of the Three Body Problem. I haven't started reading it yet because I was finishing up a book I was already reading. I did finish the book I was reading, so I'm probably going to start reading the Three Body Problem today. Them the log. The archive data stored in the cogitator's local data crypt is partially corrupted, but you still manage to access the residual logs for examination. Vox report. The Vox recording hisses for some time before you hear a voice. This is Officer A282. Do you copy? Several generators overheated on the lower levels. Chambers A to D are unpowered. The Tech Priest crew sent to investigate the problem is not responding. Requesting back. The officer's speech is interrupted by shouting, and the recording abruptly ends. Officer H123 speaking. 200 servants have perished due to explosive decompression of the living quarters. We've located traces of mechanical interference. The preliminary cause is officer sabotage. Crews 5, 6, and 9 are cut off from the main compartment. We have enough oxygen for 20 minutes. May the Emperor save our souls. Yeah, it sounds interesting. I really like stuff when it takes, like, a very different approach to things. This is always interesting to see a really new idea at play. Because sometimes I feel like you see a lot of the same. Which, at the end of the day, you're going to see a lot of repeating ideas, because that's the nature of creativity, is you steal a bit here, steal a bit there, and you mix it all together and remix it. But sometimes something just hits something really different. And it's just interesting. Senior station officers, this is the captain speaking. We attempted to contact the Winterscale Scion for help, but something is jamming the signal. We never received a reply and cannot be sure it even sent in the first place. A rescue team is not coming. We are on our own, so remain vigilant. Anyone could be a traitor. You hear me? Anyone. If you are in doubt, shoot to kill. The rest are too badly distorted to make out even a single word. Incident log. X880, originator classified, date classified. The servants close to the child have started butchering one another again. An order came from above to have their remains reprocessed. Report X886. The negotiations with the Winter Scales were a success. A new batch of servants will arrive in 10 moons. Escort them to the laboratory at once. It is imperative that we increase the new retainer's resistance to the child's powers. And data expunged. Very sciencey, and the writing is a bit amateurish, but the ideas in it are amazing. Huh. I do like sciencey because sometimes you can get really interesting stuff by tackling it from that angle. Because I feel a lot of sci-fi, strangely enough, ignores science, which seems counterintuitive given the title. It kinda smells like this place historically has issues with chaos, corruption, and warp madness. Because it sounds like the child has overly active powers. Docking log. Log is almost completely corrupted, but you managed to recover the latest entry. Identity confirmed. Regent Aranto Orselio. Date of visit classified. Reason for visit classified. Date of departure classified. Okay. And the security and life support logs. Damage in technical compartments A12, B3, D8, and H24 detected. Warning. Living quarters L10, L16, L28 depressurized. Warning. Unable to access the station's docking system. Warning, energy regulation system, unknown error. The station will transfer over to emergency power. Immediate evacuation of the facility is advised. Warning, I feel like they would have had an easier time reporting what things aren't broken. View encrypted data. Required access level security, captain or above. Current access level, senior security officer. I got tech use 25. Easily bypass the restrictions imposed on the sacred machine. The cogitators' overloaded processors were unhappily. Most of the encrypted data has been wiped. You find traces of the Purge protocol. Recovery is impossible. The list of the most recent commands have been embedded in the machine spirit's consciousness. Now flits across the screen in a single creeping line. Child, delete, picked flow, disable access code, annul station controls, delete, activate, shuttle self-destruct, purge command log. So someone very intentionally wrecked all this. Exploring the archives for a while longer yields a surviving excerpt from the guard captain's report mentioning that the security system had recently been reconfigured without his knowledge. His comment reads, "Only the keepers and station have access to the life support systems, but Keeper Theobald has not left the child's side, and neither had I." Could it be that guy I talked to kinda looking a little shady? Call Rykod Minoris for help. It's already told me that their external stuff is broken. The system cannot carry out your command despite the eager compliance of the machine spirits. One thing is certain, the problem does not lie in the cogitator's mechanisms. Main chamber controls. Open all doors. This is probably a great idea. Open every door. Couldn't possibly let out something terrible and unspeakable. Oh, boy. That looks good. Door is open. Door is open. Apartment I'm trying to open is depressurized. The passage has been opened. Door is already open. Apparently this one's important because it's got to show it to me. Okay, apparently that was the back. Main elevator controls. Activate the elevator. Alright, step away from the cogitator. One of those doors I open must be where the other stuff that I need is.
I always have a backup plan. I always keep my options open.
Ooh. Ooh, that's not good. That is definitely chaos swoop. That is some serious chaos spoop. Something bad is happening. Flesh sample.
Success is the only outcome I accept.
Synthetic amniotic fluid pools across the floor, barely discernible. Let me read the whole thing. Traces stretch to the side opposite the entrance. I think I found what came out of the box.
Your eye on the
He's a little
prize.
dead. What is this for? Biogel, black water, unidentified acid. Good. I definitely needed those. Sure.
Rise to the top, or get left in the dust.
Somebody wanted to destroy the laboratory or find something. Lady Cassia's Medicae. They all just lost their minds. Please don't kill me. Ah, chaos. Remake the control rod. And there's still a billion things in here. What?
Oh, it's a peculiar thing.
Crystal dust. More and more servants are being influenced by the immaterium, and it has nothing to do with the child's more frequent tantrums. We've discovered that the corrupted flesh of the mutated reacts most unusually to the crystals we purchased from the Winter Scale dynasty. I strongly recommend finally grinding the reagent to catalyze the reaction. Do not use acid under any circumstances. Trust me, you will not like having to tend the burns for the next dozen turns in a row. This calls for something more basic. Oh, and one more thing. Tech Priest blessed the data crypt H41OK, the calculated number of chrono turns, which means it is no longer necessary to remain near the device while waiting for the reaction to start. H40KO malfunction over the course of our research. So, flesh sample. Navigator flesh sample. I think that's trying to tell me to do something specific. Base. Try the water. Well, that didn't work. Oh, I guess I broke it.
Keep your
Oh
wits
well.
about you.
I suppose I will not be finding out what they were talking about. Either way, I've got the control rod and stuff. Now I just have to go back to the not at all traitorous navigator and... This is better. There's no negative to my dodge for this one. By bonus to persuasion. +3 to tech use. This is better-ish. Long las. Cannot wield that in one hand, I don't imagine.
That's how it's done.
The premonition runs true.
Corpses were mauled by a force far beyond any mortal capacity. The faces are twisted in pain. Other stuff that it's not gonna let me read in the, like, half a second that it lets it pop up. Control rod is required. I fixed the control rod. I have the control rod. You dealt with the threat and powered the elevator. Well done. I trust you brought the activation rod as well? Remember, every second of hesitation may cost my mistress her life. I'm not sure about that. I get the feeling they're not up there torturing her, like you're saying. A crossroads. There are two paths, both stained with blood, both leading to the accursed eye. They all wear masks so poor and flimsy, they fall at the slightest touch. One hiding a blind man, another a traitor. Thank you. I didn't understand a single word. No, everything is clear. The station has enough problems without your sorcery, psyker. You're a psyker too! You cannot give her crap. You're just a different psyker. Just because you're more mutated doesn't make you better. Thank you, Rogue Trader. I don't even know what to say. Status and honor prevented me from admitting it before now, but you have awoken hope in me. Hope that I might actually leave this station together with the mistress, which is why I am about to ask one last favor of you. The lowly insurgents got their hands on a weapon that suppresses my navigator powers. Their absence makes me a living target, but this weapon is useless against you, as is the bunch of lunatics wielding it. I humbly ask you to deal with the scum huddling upstairs, and hurry to adorn my mistress with the relic of our house, a sacred amulet against all evil. Recent events have badly disturbed Lady Cassia's psyche, and warp entities always lust for weaker souls, especially when the veil grows thin. You too will be safe next to this charm. Sure. You're sending me up there, that means I get to talk to them, I imagine. You're going to need this charm. And it remains cold to the touch no matter how long you hold it in your hand. It is also interesting how... Oh. Oh yeah, something bad's happening up here. The man has a very wide hat on. I imagine he clocks his head on every door he tries to go through. A pale figure with unnaturally long limbs stands with her arms raised, her hands deformed with talon-like nails. Her deathly pale face is coated with blood that continually streams from her scarlet-misted eyes. Her spiny gills, slightly hidden under her disheveled hair, twitch nervously at your approach. Only now do you notice the third eye on the young woman's forehead, hidden by a jeweled ornament. And when your eyes meet, you sense overwhelming, soul-smothering power. As the otherworldly creature's gaze slides over you, your entire core shudders in terror. Flashes, past warped nightmares reemerge from the shadows of your memory and paralyze your will. You survived a brush with a warp phenomenon sometime in your distant past. Good to know. You gasp for air in terror, drowning under a crashing wave of pain. You cannot catch your breath. Hot tears burn on your cheeks. Why is this happening? Why is it happening to you? Why do you feel so lonely and in so much pain? Do these feelings even belong to you? Adira emits something between a moan and a drawn-out whimper. Ow, wow, wow. As if my own little pals weren't bad enough, now this one's barging into my head. Somebody stop her. Heresy. No, I think this is the opposite of heresy, hon. The Navis Nobilitae are very important to how the Imperium functions. Argenta looks at the tall figure with a strange mixture of anger and sadness, and she lowers her head, and her white hair veils her face. I can persuade her, coerce her, touch her with the rock, which sounds like a decidedly bad idea. Ah, yes, obviously, just attack the lady with crazy warp powers. These sound like a great idea. Excuse me, sorry. Overcome the crushing despair, I know why I'm here, and so I will stand strong against any illusion. You direct all your attention inward to your heart, currently shackled by another suffering. Under the gaze of your burning inner eye, the despair and pain begin to dwindle. The darkness in your soul dissipates, the lump in your throat shrinks, and you discover that you are standing in front of a bizarre creature, a young woman whose tears you seem to have dried along with your own. She wearily shakes her head and lets out a drawn-out sound similar to both a sob and the howl of a small wounded animal. What is happening? Was someone calling my name? Are all the betrayers dead already? And you? Who are you? Pointedly remain silent. Yes, that is helpful. Somebody plies you with questions. Yes, stand there and stare at them blankly. Ignatius von Valancius, it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Unease settles over her features and she nods cautiously. Pardon my manners, Ignatius. I did not expect to make such a gracious acquaintance in such a time of great sorrow for our house. What is this? I feel faint. A heavy-set old man who has been kneeling nearby erupts into low sobs. His eyes, swollen from crying, dart desperately around the room, as though the veil of ignorance has just been ripped away from them. Child. Lady Cassia. Where are you, sacred child? Bone preserve. Despite his venerable age, the navigator leaps up and rushes to the young woman's side. You. The old man shifts, revealing his face to you. It is threaded with jet-black veins, and his bulging, milky eyes bear a striking resemblance to those of a dead fish. A sickly sweet scent assaults your nostrils, as if the old man's flesh is rotting inside his decaying husk. My eyes fail me, for they are unable to make you out as either enemy or ally. I'm warning you, one wrong move will bring the wrath of House Orselio down upon your head. Watch out, Lord Captain. This one's so deranged it's making the Whisper shriek like crazy. He might just open that eye of his. Threatening the head of the dynasty is a grave offense, esteemed whoever you are. Abelard places a hand on his weapon. At present, I'm just trying to determine what is happening on Urak 5. I'll grant you that you do not look like pirates who have come coveting the riches of a wrecked station, or like scoundrels in Felic's service, so who are you? Sir, were you not listening to the conversation I just had with the lady? Ignatius von Valancius, rogue trader. Another rogue trader in our corner of the galaxy? How interesting. Your kind always make an appearance in desperate times, ready to cut a deal that benefits one side alone. I do try. Given that you have not so far drawn your weapons, your intentions are probably peaceful, and so House Orselio now asks a service of you. Save the life of the child in exchange for future cooperation. Do not hurry to answer, think on it. You can make yourself an ally or an enemy of our house today. You decide. You look frightening. The fish eyes look at you with unwavering dignity. You are not supposed to see me, or Felic, or the sacred child. Navigators are highly paid for their loyal service to the Imperium according to his will. No one would dare judge the guides of humanity, the chosen of the galactic sovereign himself. I'm sorry, you just looked slightly like you might have a disease or 9. My apologies for being a bit concerned. Alright, what's the curse going on here? Curse? You do not understand the sacred gift given to our child. When the child is sad, we all weep. When the child smiles, we all laugh giddily. And if the child wants blood, the world turns crimson. The child's will is the will of the great Tisiphone. Tisiphone? Tisiphone? For she is the heir of House Orselio. That sounds horrible. And slightly like mind control. They call me dangerous with my witchcraft, Adira mutters under her breath. Okay. What happened between you and Felic? Felic is my wayward student. He came to Urak 5 as a callow youth. I personally mentored him and entrusted him with the care of the child. He was like a son to me, but he proved to be just another traitor. He sought to steal our most precious treasure, the heir of our house, our sacred child, to revel in power with others like him, casting our house into the abyss, to pervert the centuries-long traditions of our family. You can see the fruits of his villainy for yourself. He decided he was not bound by his duties to the legacy of the greatest of our Novators, Tisiphone, or Celio, who led our house to prosperity for countless years. Foolish boy. The renegades clouded his mind. They sought to seize control of the dynasty before the sacred child had come of age and take up the Novator's throne. So choose whose side you are on, a murderous traitor or the lawful scion of a noble house. Theobald speaks these words softly, looking at the... Excuse me. Looking at the unconscious young woman with reverence. I could just leave. I could just be like, yeah, I'm done with your fanning. I'm just leaving. Bye. What service are you asking? Hope glimmers in the navigator's milky eyes. Save the sacred child. Take her away from the station. I fear I do not have long left. See, I knew it. You have a disease. What is it? You got the corona? A bluish rivulet trickles down the old man's chin, and he wipes the mutated blood brusquely away from it with his sleeve. You glimpse strange burns covering his flesh under his clothing. The slightest movement must be causing him unbearable pain. Save the child and deliver her safely to Regent Oronto, acting head of House Orselio in the Coronis Expanse. Rest assured that the reward will be worth your effort. I know we came here for a navigator, but after everything we've seen, I've got some reservations about this girl. I agree slightly. Argenta looks at Cassia and a painful furrow appears on her brow. Such a fragile thing with such a heavy burden upon her shoulders. You're talking as though I expect to die here. Theobald shrugs indifferently. My service to the house is coming to an end. The wounds Felix inflicted on my flesh will never heal. I am dying. Praise the throne, slowly enough to see the child is taken care of. Alright. The last thing I need is another monster on my ship. Cassia shall remain here, and you shall serve as navigator on my vessel while you still live. Yes, take the dying man with. That sounds like a great idea. Okay, let's take care of Felix together. You help. In fact, if you could do most of the work, that'd be great. Theobald dips his head in favor of the proposition. That was the dog trying to eat a hole through the door. I will revive the child. Do not be alarmed. The power of House Orselio's heir will help us destroy our enemies and shield us from Felix Navigator forces. But you will rest for a time before the battle. Sure. Alright. Anything for me to steal? Oop. Click on the box. This station's probably gonna blow up after I leave anyway, so I might as well just steal everything that's not nailed down. As you do. But yeah, it is kind of fascinating to see how different sci-fi can be between something like very arcane and magic heavy like 40K and then other stuff like your mentioned three body problem, which is very, very science focused. See that with BattleTech too. BattleTech is a much more grounded setting, much more founded on the idea of like high technology and politicking rather than like alien races and space magic. It is about time we repay those who betrayed our house. Come. Rogue traitor, you treasonous worm! I knew I should have killed you. That is enough, boy. You betrayed the child, our house, and Tisiphone herself. Surrender. I am the savior of our house, and I am prepared to pay the ultimate price. Kill them.
Your arrogance will be your downfall.
Stand your ground!
It's gotta have, like... There's gotta be something going on with this guy's brain. Apparently she cannot lean far enough around that to shoot without doing this. Alright, and shoot again. Yeah, you almost got him. You're sure trying. Oh. By a Chinese author, that also brings a new perspective into it. It is always fascinating to see authors from different backgrounds and just how heavily different that can play into the ideas in the book and how they think about things. Because you are right. So much sci-fi and just honestly just a lot of stuff tends to very heavily be written by Western authors.
Anything else?
Or at least most of what you consume in, like, whatever language you happen to speak. Like, a lot of stuff written in English is necessarily going to be by primarily English speakers, because writing in non-native language is going to be kind of difficult. You see it here and there, but it can be difficult. Ooh. Ooh, that poor guy.
It's as good as done. Consider this a taste of what's to come. My gut tells me it's a bad idea.
Oh, apparently that's not a good enough line.
On it.
What? What did I just do? Okay. Well, that did not work out how I intended, so I used the Endure. Like, I do find that, on the occasion that I find a book that was written by an author from a very significantly different background,
A tactically sound approach.
they often do have a very, very different way of thinking about things.
I'd rather not. One fewer target. At your beck and call.
And it's unfortunate that we don't see more of books in other languages being translated to, well, other languages. On occasion, I have read, like, a novel that was originally written in, like, Japanese. I mean, even those have a very odd feeling to them. Because even as used to, like, anime and Japanese fiction as I think we've become in the West, there is a very different, like, way of looking at things to it.
Follow my lead.
Weather the storm.
Especially because I find that a lot of Western countries tend to be very individualistically focused, whereas a lot of Eastern countries tend to be more about the group as a whole. Lady, you can't hit anything.
I'll do it.
High momentum.
Brain zap this guy.
What an unfortunate turn of fate.
And I think stories coming from people of the same or similar cultures also tends to mean that you necessarily see a lot of the same concepts.
I'll see to it personally. You should feel honored to witness this. Who, if not me?
Because a lot of what they're getting.
It's as good as done.
Son of a
Taste of what's to come.
bitch. Well, that was my drink spilling on my lap. I've got to go clean up. Oh, that was fun. Another glorious day of I am a klutz and always seem to mystically drop drinks on myself.
I'll make it happen. You should have thought twice before crossing me. I'll see to it personally.
Endless stream of attacks. Hello, Rilo. You just got here in time for me to get back from having dropped a drink on myself. Which was a really lengthy way to state that sentence.
Follow my lead. Victory is imminent.
You got the whole thing in real time.
Break their morale.
You missed.
I must not falter.
You also missed.
Be careful not to cross my gaze. As duty demands.
Well, that was dangerous. Am I not allowed to move? Why are you not allowed to move?
Doubt is for the weak and strong.
Have you been glued to the floor? Revel in slaughter. Bring it down. Ended. Discolored visions. What?
My faith strengthens me.
You got your shiny dinosaur?
Stay vigilant.
What shiny dinosaur?
Onward.
Why did you walk into the fire? Why are they stupid?
I'll do it.
You missed. Again. What is this? Reload. Oh, I've never had to do that with you so far, have I?
As the Emperor commands, I act.
Try it again. Was that a 20%? You do not have a good chance to hit him with that.
Cover me. That is not my destiny. No can do.
Just keep buffing people. Breeding animals in RuneScape can make shinies like in Pokemon. I'm steadily trying to finish all of the breeding logs.
Now, this is your burden, child. Survive. Return to the fold of your house as your destiny demands.
Good.
No! Don't leave me alone in this violet-brown haze! Wake up! Your mistress is giving you an order! Do you hear me?
So what I'm hearing is you're breeding Pokemon shinies. Now, given that it's RuneScape, it's probably worse than breeding Pokemon shinies in terms of time to pay off.
He was a fine seer of the war. He fought for his mistress until the end.
Yeah, no. Enough's enough. I've had my fill of waterworks, thank you.
I regret we had to meet under such circumstances.
What need have I for your regrets? I just want things to go back to the way they were before.
I don't think they're gonna go back.
What are you going to do to me?
Lady Cassia, I, Ignatius von Valancius, rogue trader of the Imperium of Man, offer you my protection and grant you shelter aboard my vessel.
I beg your pardon, but what about my servants? Your Act 5 is still full of people loyal to House Orselio.
All who can be saved will be given succor on board my ship. They should be. There's an entire city. I'm sure we could take on a few more people.
As a Lady Navigator of House Orselio, I accept your gracious offer of protection. Please, take me to your vessel. I can no longer bear the pain of this place.
First in time payoff, easier not having to hatch everything. Yeah, in Pokemon, it's like, I don't know the exact, but it's probably like 1 in 4,000. That seems right. 1 in 100. That seems terrifically nice for RuneScape. Loot all of the dead bodies. Take all of the shinies. Oop. Remember, boys and girls, steal everything.
Is there money to be made?
Oh. That does sound a lot nicer than trying to breed shinies in Pokemon. Tactical goggles. Crit chance and hit chance. Why don't we put that on my shooty person? Word body glove. Can I use this? Ooh. Ooh, this is good. It doesn't have the dodge reduction, though. Damn, does it have punch? Level up. You're an officer. You want willpower and fellowship. Enemies damaged by the navigator suffer 80% additional damage from warp damage. The bonus damage stacks for each hit. That's every even turn, the navigator gains an additional action point. Every odd turn, the navigator gains plus 20 perception. Odd. Every enemy the navigator has in their line of sight has its dodge and hit chance reduced by 2 times navigator's perception bonus. Huh. The navigator's perception is higher than their agility. Their dodge is calculated using perception instead. That actually sounds useful. Sounds very useful. I think right prior to spilling my cocoa all over myself, I was I was yapping about cultural influences on the types of stories people write, I think. I need to finish. I won't be able to focus on them. There's so much stuff. Like, holy crap. Allies that are targeted by the navigator's power gain plus 10% armor. Sorry, I got somebody jawing at me. Book's also interesting because it references Chinese history a lot, which I am not very familiar with. I've got a little bit of, like, knowledge on, like, Chinese history and, like, Chinese mythology, but it's something that just
Always keep your
doesn't
promise.
often get taught in the West, just in general. Which is unfortunate because China has a very, very long and very wild recorded history. Yeah, that's something that always changes with, like, who writes a story is the references it makes outside of the story proper. The history that it references, the world that it references can be very different depending upon the perspective of the person writing it and what they know, what they're used to, because a person who knows a lot about Chinese history but not a lot about Western history is very rightly going to reference Chinese history. And I see it with a lot of modern sci-fi. A lot of modern sci-fi often feels like it picks a side. Like painting one group as historically the good guy as, like, decent amount of it feels almost topical in terms of who's the quote-unquote good guy and who is the quote-unquote bad guy, which I don't like. Because that's something that I always feel like is going to change in the next century, 2 centuries. Like, I don't think sci-fi should ever be using, like, modern political climate to determine the political climate of its world. Especially because that can also just be divisive amongst a reader base. You don't want to make somebody's home the bad guy. It's obviously someone needs to be the bad guy, but it should never feel like you're picking on them because of current politics. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Lord Captain, Lady Navigator, welcome aboard. The Sanctum Navis has been prepared for the communion ritual, but if the Lady Navigator wishes to rest in her quarters first... Your heart starts beating furiously. Your breath comes short, choppy. Your fingertips tingle unpleasantly. You notice that Vigdis is shivering slightly, and the crew are glancing around in puzzlement, searching for the source of this wave of unease. Without even looking at the Voxmaster, Cassia waves her away. First, I wish to speak with the rogue trader. Leave us. Of course. When you are ready for the ritual, please let me know. But I guess you can't really get away from stories being topical. Because, like, when World War II was relatively recent occurrence, there was quite a lot of stories being written about, like, the evils of, totalitarian regimes and that kind of thing. And then after that was the Cold War, and then they were again, more about the evils of totalitarian regimes. But I would imagine that books written in those countries had a very different perspective on the matter, because it's written from the other side of the coin. I only know it from the perspective of the people who viewed themselves as enemies of those people. Which actually does make me wonder what fiction written in Cold War Russia looks like. Like, I know their economy wasn't doing super well, so I don't know that a lot of fiction was written, but there's got to be some out there, and it makes me wonder what their perspective looks like. No, I don't want to speak to you. Go to the Sanctum Navis now. This game gives you so many chances to just act like a petulant child. What did you wish to speak about? After a few seconds' hesitation, Cassia lets out a small exhale, then raises her pointed chin. I've not yet thanked you for saving me on the station. My thoughts were clouded with so much mournful ash when Theobald's heart stopped, but you acted honorably and did not exploit me in my wretched position, and for that I am immeasurably grateful. I like this little bit of thing where it will reference things you did or how you solved a problem. And then it also gives you a little mouse over to remind you, hey, you did this. I don't see this in a lot of other CRPGs. It is very nice. I am also deeply grateful that you saved my servants, especially my valet. Uwe served on the station for more than 5 years, much longer than any who preceded him. He knows how to properly attend me during journeys through the Immaterium, and what to serve me for breakfast. His presence envelops me in a cloak of amber. But now, Cassia throws back her shoulders, I'm ready to go to the Sanctum Navis and perform the sacred rite. I require brushes, canvas, and the best paints you have on board, but no red. This sounds like a thing I shouldn't be asking about. I shall ensure that all necessary supplies are delivered. Cassia nods and thanks. I shall take my leave of you for the duration of the rite. I ask you do not follow me. Few can survive the gaze of my warp eye when it is open. Lord Captain, I will oversee the open channel between the Lady Navigator and the bridge, and may the Emperor's light help us all. Voxcaster in the Sanctum Navis picks up the susurration of clothes, pious chanting, the metallic clinking of implants. Then the serene voice of the Lady Navigator breaks the silence, initiating communion ritual. Come here, Uwe. The exultant ring of metal freed from its scabbard, the low sob of the servant, the rhythmic dripping of liquid on canvas, I can speak, I swear. Faint whisper of the brush. Oh. Footsteps hurrying away. I see. Violet vortexes lashing an ocean with a million flails, and umber shadows spinning over the surface in a fiery dance, a storm rising above foaming waters, armadas drowning in fog, and the path from one end to another cannot be seen. She talking about the cicatrix? And here, beyond the wall of glass, a daughter forsaken by her father yearns for her brother, and the sun's pale disk goes in tireless pursuit. Of her? No. Of me. Its frozen rays lie that spring is here. The light is deadened. The great ruler is gone. The Voxmaster recoils at Cassia's words and accidentally snaps one of the cogitator levers. The panel beneath her fingers emits sparks, and the Voxcaster falls silent. She quickly flips a series of switches and bows guiltily. My abject apologies for cutting off the broadcast, Lord Captain. I've never heard the warp speaking through a navigator before. The connection is restored now. I will not happen again. Leave it undisturbed. Soul-shredding screams drown out the Vox transmission. The servants in the Sanctum Navis are howling and shrieking like wild beasts, moaning in pain, their throats raw from the strain, and then sudden silence. The dull thud of dropping bodies proclaims their fate. Oh boy, I love FTL in 40k. The fact that moving your ship incurs a body count truly speaks to the horrors of the setting. It appears the servants were part of the Lady Navigator's rite, as it was for her predecessor. I will arrange for the bodies to be removed from the Sanctum Navis after the ritual, or what is left of them. Rogue Trader, I fear I have unfortunate news. Endless blackness has spread across the canvas, dividing what should be whole in two, and my sight cannot glimpse the light of the Emperor as clearly as before. I cannot turn around. My brush only draws me onward. The way is blocked. You hear a heavy exhale, rustling fabric, and metallic clicking. By the Emperor's grace, the ritual is successful. Your vessel's temperament presented a challenge. Its cold steel grip did not allow me to breathe freely, even for a second. It was as if the depths of the ship housed not only machine spirits, but something other. You know, given some of the stuff that I found during the prologue, that doesn't shock me. Now I will retreat to my chambers to recover my strength. Send for me if you have need of me. Lord Captain, congratulations on acquiring a navigator. Spare me a few moments of your time, please. There are several matters that require your attention. First of all, I want to report on the condition of the station Urak 5. Had you opted to begin your visit to the Rykad system with a different destination, the station could have become critically unstable. Fortunately, the decision to immediately visit the representatives of the Navis Nobilite bought us precious time. We can either send our forces to disassemble the station and procure technological components for our own vessel, or to save as many valuables as we can. I know my ship needs repairs, but I don't think this is really going to repair my ship. Just steal everything. As I said, when in Rome, steal everything that isn't nailed down. As you command, Lord Captain. Profit factor gained 2. Okay, what does that mean? With your permission, I would also like to remind you that we are still looking for an Engineer Prime. Both the vessel and its machine spirits are in desperate need of oversight by an experienced tech priest. We are also missing some crew, and much more importantly, we have not yet located Heinrich von Kalux, the right hand of the Lord Inquisitor. Now, we know for sure he was not at Urak 5, so keep this in mind when making any future plans. Why is it always business with you, Vigdis? Couldn't you sometimes just visit and tell me how wonderful everything is? No, she can't, because this is 40k. Thank you, Vigdis. That will be all. As it pleases you, Lord Captain. Okay. So... Rykad Majoris. Not explored. Rykad Philia, the prison planetoid. Rykad Minoris. Which is marking the Machine Spirit Keeper, New Blood, and land on Rykad Minoris. And, like, you can say what you want about, well, your highest... most important thing should be pleasing the Inquisition, because if they're displeased with you, probably kill you. Or worse. Because unfortunately, this is 40k, and there are lots of worse things than getting murdered. Like being turned into a door. Or a couch. Man, Dark Eldar are crappy. But I would rather get someone to keep my ship from exploding from the inside. Please and thank you. Lord Captain, there is some commotion on the officer's deck. The Lady Navigator has left her quarters and is currently in the wardroom, where uninitiated crew members are shunning her in terror. Perhaps you should go find out what has brought Cassia to the deck. I get the feeling her spooky mind control powers are going to be slightly problematic. All things considered, I do not intend to give her the mind control rock because I feel like it's probably warp tainted or something.
Lord Captain, my apologies. I did not notice your entrance.
Alas, the title alone is not enough to hold everyone's attention all of the time.
I did not... Please forgive me this regrettable lapse, Lord Captain. There are times when books sweep me up, and I lose myself in their pages and forget about the world's existence. Was there something you required of me?
I see you're fond of reading.
Oh, this. I found this fascinating read on one of the shelves, and I must say, it has caught my eye. Its every chapter is written in verse. I find it so beautiful and enrapturing. Urak 5 had a vast archive of its own, of course. Although most of the works within had to do with scholarly disciplines of some sort or another. Only in my sparse moments of respite was I allowed to escape into the pages of more embellished works.
I hope you had ample time to calm yourself in your powers. The events on Urak 5 must have shaken you greatly. Are you well?
One should not underestimate the navigators of House Orselio, Lord Captain. Like a shawl of pale smoke, a faint malaise hangs upon my shoulders, but it will not be the slightest hindrance to my duty to humanity, and my duty to you.
You're only a tenant as your valet from Urak 5. Do my servants not measure up to your standards?
No. It is not that at all, Lord Captain. It is just that Uwe is quite capable of carrying out his duties by himself. He is well accustomed to my whims and preferences.
Sure. Perception test succeeded. Cassia cringes ever so slightly, adjusts the adornment on her forehead, then awkwardly hides her clawed fingers in the folds of her clothes. The unnatural appearance of navigators often becomes the topic of gossip among lowly servants and officers alike. It is unsurprising, then, that Cassia prefers the company of one who is used to how she looks.
There are people on this ship who are far more impulsive and dangerous to others, and far less devoted to the God Emperor than a herald of the Navis nobility. But I did not need your words to see the shades of umber unease that whirl around your subjects whenever I am near. Were I not acquainted with such a reaction, I could have found their behavior and your question just now insulting.
I'm sure.
Lord Captain, would you kindly explain to me why you are pestering me with these questions? Inquiring about my mood and my needs, showing an interest in the books I am enjoying? You are behaving as if you possessed a shred of fellow feeling for one such as I.
And here we get to it. This is a 40k character. Shocked that I am presenting a shred of humanity or decency.
I beg your pardon, Lord Captain. That was no way for for a navigator to conduct herself.
You have nothing to apologize for. Human emotions are natural, be they good or bad, and it is just as natural to share them with others. I'm just gonna play a 40k game and completely not play a 40k character. There's no humanity in 40k. There's too many humans for it. That is precisely correct.
Please forgive me. I cannot even understand myself right now. Your words and attention have reminded me of life on the station. Of Theobald and Felek. I do not understand. They were merely the keepers of Urak 5. So, why do memories of those two make me feel a strange heaviness here?
It seems her education did not include complex concepts such as the fact that humans have emotions and get sad when other humans that they like die. A difficult concept in the Imperium, I'm sure.
Overwhelmed with new excitement and anticipation. At last, I have set foot outside my familiar walls and into a world that I have only seen before in the pages of books. Your ship alone is a treasure trove of remarkable artifacts and curiosities. And just imagine the things that await beyond, but my delight must seem childish to you, surely. In your heart, you must be finding all this quite amusing.
I'm not in the habit of finding amusement at the expense of my people. Just remember to keep your emotions in check. What is this? I would rather find amusement elsewhere, perhaps in the privacy of my chambers. That's very forward. I'm sorry, does this game have romance? Can I romance the mutant? I would not dare to make fun of a lady's feelings, especially not one who has captivated me since I first set eyes on her. This did not seem like the CRPG to actually have... to actually have romance subplots. It is very un-40k of it. I guess it's not. I guess it's not. Even novels in 40k do have, like, romance on occasion. Humanity's... excuse me. Humanity's not dead, just dying. Oh, feelings? We don't have those anymore. Went cold turkey. Yeah, that is far too many of the characters in 40k. I love that you could just play it being erratic. You ask all these questions, be nice, and then turn around. What I find childish is your manner of addressing me, as if I were your friend, and your mistaken belief that anyone here would be interested in hearing about your emotional turmoil. Just completely 180. Just asking all these questions, being so nice, and then suddenly, you're not my friend. How dare you imply that anyone cares about your emotions? What foolish human disease is this? Did I romance the mutant? I haven't seen every character, though. I should romance the mutant.
Words like that, Lord Captain, could easily be misconstrued. You should familiarize yourself with some of the works in your library to learn the appropriate manner of conversing with a lady.
Okay, okay. That's a funny reaction. You try to hit on her, she uses it as a chance to burn you. A spark. You started a romance. You should romance the mutant because her voice is cute. That is true. That is true. I do really like her voice. That reaction is adorable, though. I love it. Ooh, let's rob myself. Wait, wait, there's a book on the table. Secrets of Gallant Conduct, How to Express Your Feelings to a Noble Lady. She makes that comment, and then there's a book laying on the table. To maintain pointed courtesy and finesse in his every deed. An honorable admirer will never defile a noble lady's ears with crude or indecent words, and neither will he allow himself conduct that would besmirch her honor and dignity. Shower the lady with compliments that will accentuate her finest qualities without putting her in a position of discomfort. That's, oh my god, that's hilarious. She says that, and immediately you can find that right there. That's great. Listen, I could miss a signal on the broadside of a barn, but that's a signal if I've ever seen one. This game is great. This is great. I wonder how far in you get the other characters. Because the story quest to get the tech priest is pointing me to a planet. So the planet, I'm probably going to get the tech priest. But I know that there's also an Eldar ranger and a space marine. And I really, really want to know when I get those. Another interruption. Lord Captain, sorry to disturb you. Vigdis pauses as if listening to something. It's pandemonium outside the bridge gate. One of the officers seems to be demanding an audience with you in person. I think I hear Master Wersarian's voice. In any case, I wanted to warn you in advance. I am pleased with this game so far because all of the characters are really, really likable. I think that was the big disappointment for me in Baldur's Gate 3. I don't think I met every character you can have in your party, but the ones I met, I just didn't like. It was very unfortunate. Meanwhile, so far, I really like all these characters. The everyday sounds of the bridge are disrupted by voices raised in anger. Abelard's voice the loudest of all. This is not the conduct of an officer. These are the antics of a highborn brat out on a lark. Explain yourself, Lieutenant. The young woman standing before Abelard strives with all her might not to quail under the onslaught of her superior's anger. She falters, but then manages to look him in the eye and say, I apologize, sir, but I must speak to the Lord Captain. Very well, Lieutenant. You may address the Lord Captain, not least because I see you have already seen fit to disturb him. Your unauthorized appearance on the bridge and display of belligerence toward a higher-ranking officer will be logged on your personal file without delay. We all know your aim is good, Mr. No Friendly Fire. I would never intentionally shoot an ally. Now, I might accidentally, drop the, orbital nuclear bombardment on them, but it's not my fault they didn't see the red call marker. And it's definitely not my fault you guys aren't paying attention for landmines. Baldur's Gate 3. Romance me until you learn my tragic backstory. Rilo is Mr. No Friendly Fire. Lord Captain, Lieutenant Avrilla Vent requesting permission to speak. Vent falls silent and then adds rashly, on a matter of extreme importance and urgency. You may speak, but I want to hear a report, not a shouting match. Having two officers bickering in full view of the bridge is unacceptable. I am sorry, Lord Captain. I thought the drastic times called for drastic measures. Vent exclaims hotly. This matter cannot wait. I've watched you casually shoot Sam in the head like it was Tuesday. Don't lie to me. Okay. But usually, it's because it was either A, funny, or B, he deserved it. Usually A. A happens a lot. Sam dying is often funny. This matter cannot wait. Any minute now, an assault unit will be dispatched to the lower decks on orders to crush the workers' strike. By any means necessary, but I am convinced that this step is unwarranted and that the crisis itself was provoked by the actions of one of the senior officers. Vent is almost trembling with tension as she delivers her speech, her face extremely pale. Abelard, in no hurry to intervene, lets out a skeptical huff. Lord Captain, I urge you to investigate the actions of Seneschal Worsarian and to intervene in what's happening on the lower decks, because very soon we will have a mutiny or a massacre on our hands. Vent reels off the last words as though she knows them by heart. She's clearly been preparing to say them for some time. When she is finished, she casts an anxious glance at Abelard, then at you. I've yet to get friendly fire damage in Helldivers. Get on my level. At least you kill me personally, unlike certain people with turrets and mortars. Okay, on occasion my kills are impersonal, what with the landmines and all, but those are not intentional. The landmines are for the bugs. You guys keep selfishly stealing my landmines that I have given my all to prepare for our lovely bug friends. It truly does you a disservice to show such lack of decorum. Where does the Seneschal come into all of this? I shall explain, Abelard intones grimly. I beg you to hurry, time is running out. I will not hurry. Since my competence is under scrutiny, I shall speak for as long as I see fit. There is an established order to the way things are done on this ship, and one of the pillars of that system is that the rogue trader's attention is not distracted by trivial matters. It is the Seneschal's role to ensure that. I have always handled internal problems myself, so of course, when I received information about cultists hiding in the lower decks, I took the matter in hand. So long as I live, not one of the vermin who murdered Theodora von Valancius will find refuge on her ship. You are far too heavy-handed, Seneschal Worsarian. Arrests, interrogations, mass punishments for entire sectors has driven people to the brink. Now there's a strike on the lower decks, in Depot 4 to be precise. 3 worker clans are involved, but many more are passively supporting them. The situation could degenerate into an all-out insurrection. When I reported my concerns, the only response I received was an order to dispatch an assault unit and crush the strike with maximum force. You're lucky running into mines while being chased by a horde is funny, or it would tilt the fuck out of me. You shouldn't have made them so shiny. You know everyone likes shinies. They're shiny so you can see that they're there and not walk into them. Believe it or not, usually when there's mines, I put them there for a reason. Okay, what's Depot 4? Depot 4 is one of the poorest sectors in the lower decks. It is home to clans of general laborers. They are not as valuable to the ship as the families who have served its specialized systems for generations. They are an easily replaceable resource, and one which is now, more besides, giving succor to cultists and minions of the archenemy. Depot Poor is for poor and troubled. But at worst, that means drunken fights and illegal rotgut brewing. We have handled the workers of Depot 4 in the past. We would have done so again if the crackdown on Depot 4 hadn't been so harsh. And another important point to bear in mind, the problem is not limited to this sector. It is located on one of the most populated lower decks, and everything that happens there has a knock-on effect on all the neighboring sectors. I see no need to add anything. I acted within the remit of my authority, guided exclusively by the best interests of your protectorate and your personal safety. If you wish to confirm the rectitude of my actions for yourself, I have no objections. For my part, I urge the Lord Captain go down to the lower decks, stop the assault unit, and speak directly to the people. You will see that they are not lying or harboring heretics. That way you will stop the uprising before it begins. How did all of this start? The situation could boil over at any minute, so I'll give you the condensed version. It all began when the enforcers found a cultist amulet on the body of someone who'd been killed in a drunken brawl. We reported it up the chain immediately, arranged for a cleansing rite to be performed, and opened an investigation. No heretics have been found alive, but the search has brought tensions between enforcers and workers to a head. Alright. I'm sure he was acting within his authority, but I will verify the soundness of his decisions for myself. Throne preserve you, Lord Captain. Thank you for your support. Abelard grits his teeth slightly. An enterprise bordering on the sophomoric, but please yourself, Lord Captain. However, I categorically insist that I escort you. Just bring everybody. There's nothing keeping me from bringing an army if something goes wrong. Wow, nobles from the upper decks here to see us. Ew. I don't think they like you, Abelard. Abelard reflexively wipes the sweat from his brow in a startlingly human gesture, and a telling one, a rare moment where he allows his age and weariness to show through his armor-like veneer of self-assurance. The lower decks are a source of endless problems. Sometimes I dearly regret that we cannot replace all the locals with servitors. They were shouting your name. Of course they were. The organization of the daily routine life of the ship rests upon my shoulders. A mountain of challenges and problems from which I endeavor to insulate you, Lord Captain. The situation on the lower decks has been a cause for concern, and I have intervened personally on more than one occasion. That must be why they remembered me. They do not know your face. To them, you are akin to a creature of legend, one who has stood on the steps of the Golden Throne, no less. Whereas I am the man whose name is attached to every order docking rations or lowering a bay's heating. We need to get the bottom of this.
Keep your wits about you. options
Dude.
open.
I can rob my own ship. That doesn't look good. Although I guess this is 40k. Any piece of machinery is held together by duct tape and chewing gum, and it's truly shocking that any of it works.
Let us not dawdle.
If it wasn't for the high gothic, like, theming of 40k, I would say that a lot of the tech feels very, like,
Rise to the top.
alien.
Left in the dust.
Like the Alien movies. The container can be seen beyond the bars, perhaps examining the pipe will allow you to reach it. Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm standing here and I'm examining the pipe. What are you on about?
Always keep your eye on the prize.
Is this some sort of puzzle? I don't see anything else to click on.
I always have a backup plan.
I still do not see our purpose in coming here.
Relax, old man. Going for a stroll on the lower decks every once in a while is...
The sounds of a heated discussion reverberate through the ship's bay as Lieutenant Avril Event of the ship's enforcers is barring the path of a heavily built assault unit officer. And judging by their expressions and tone, the standoff has dragged on for some time already, and has now reached boiling point. I have my orders to put an end to the unrest and purge this sector. You can take your orders and shove them. This is my deck and my sector. There are only 3 people who can waltz in here without my express permission. The first officer, the rogue traitor, and the Emperor himself. Not all of my lessons fall on deaf ears, Abelard mutters in crabby approval. He does not clarify whether he means Lieutenant Vent, the officer looming over her, or both. Your lordship, noticing you, the 2 junior officers snap to attention and salute, their subordinates following suit a moment later. What's the situation? Your lordship, my people have locked down the bay where the strikers are, including their leaders. We have the situation under control as far as resources allow. Let me talk to them. Abelard's mouth twists, but he restrains himself and says nothing. Welcome to 40k. How dare you help these people? How dare you be nice? To be fair, a lot of people in 40k who are like, no, we have to crush everything. There's so much as a whiff of chaos corruption, kill everything. Usually people like that have seen how easily chaos corruption can get out of hand. Right you are, Lord Captain. Allow me to wish you good luck. Hope gleams in Lieutenant Vent's eyes.
I always keep my options open.
Unfortunately, kindness in 40k is usually repaid in blood, death, and destruction.
Keep your wits about you.
A dozen pairs of eyes stare apprehensively at you. The people before you are typical inhabitants of the lower decks. You take in their simple clothing, crude weapons, and faces that display varying levels of mutation, from the barely discernible to the strange to the outright grotesque. A whisper passes through the crowd, and you detect a mixture of fear, astonishment, and joy in their reactions. Finally, 3 people break away from the crowd, an elderly woman and 2 men. These must be the leaders. They bow clumsily before you. Lord Captain, you have come down to us. Tell me what is troubling you. Why are you striking? Just striking. That's news to us, your lordship, says a tall, thin man in worker's garb. All we're doing is asking questions, saying what we think. Shut up, Rivet. snaps the old woman, who turns her hostile dark eyes on you. Here's the deal, your lordship. The damned enforcers are all over us down here. They say they're looking for cultists. One wrong word and they're reaching for their batons. If they want to punish someone, they turn off the heating to hold bays for a week at a time. We get sick and freeze. In my clan, 2 little ones died from inflammation in their lungs, all because of these enforcers. The old woman spits on the floor and rubs at the spittle with the toe of her worn-out shoe. Argenta does not interrupt the workers, but you see the sadness well in her eyes when the children's deaths are mentioned. She quietly whispers a requiem prayer and makes a sign over herself. Saying what we think. Yep, that's the problem right there. Same in 40k as it is in real life. Somebody starts speaking their mind. Heresy! How dare you betray us? Evil and corruption, and you're obviously underhanded. Argenta is still surprising me. A sister of battle that actually has a heart. It's phenomenal. It's all true. Vent is the only enforcer officer who stood up for us. It's clear as day who had a mother from the lower decks and who grew up amidships and has no fellow feeling toward us. The grim man with a scarred face throws up his arms. Your lordship, we're no villains here. We're honest workers, your servants. We've plotted no disorder. We went on strike openly, and now we've got guns pointed at us. All we're doing is asking to be allowed to work in peace without being harassed. Persecution started apropos of nothing, you say? I was told that one of you was found in possession of a cultist amulet, and that there are heretics hiding here. A cultist amulet? What's that? A gewgaw they found on the dead drunkard? If it was something evil or forbidden, we sure didn't know. The enforcers just said they were looking for heretics among us, and anyone obstructing their investigation would be punished. But how could there be heretics here? We know our own people, and there have been no new faces around. Definitely not, and if there were, we'd be the first to report them. And just because they're facts doesn't mean it's the truth. Well, what is the Inquisition's thing that it says? Innocence is no excuse or something like that? And as for this amulet, or whatever it is, they took it off a dead body. There are no cultists still breathing in our sector, that's for sure. When that fight broke out, some enterprising folks looted the bodies. The boots they came back with, nobody's ever tread these decks and boots so fine. I can tell you that. Seems to me these cultists have better commanders than us. Oh yeah, those boots were really fine. And there was no harm in taking them, right? As for the amulet, it must have been pocketed by someone who didn't know any better. We don't need any amulets around here. We all worship the Emperor, and when we're working, we bow down before the machine spirits of the large and small transformers and the servo motor, the same way my grandfather was taught 100 years ago by a tech priest who came calling. Believe us, your lordship, we are all people of faith. Naive children, weren't you taught from an early age about the dangers of the archenemy's creations? Weren't you warned that any unfamiliar object could be one of them? You know, by that logic, like, an unfamiliar piece of machinery could be works of chaos. You could have people ripping stuff out of the walls because, oh yeah, I saw something in the wall I didn't recognize, so I figured it was chaos corruption, so I ripped it out, and now half the sector's without power and the ship's exploding. We were told, Holy Sister, but it was long ago. The last time we saw a confessor in our sector, it was just after I'd had my third little one. That is regrettable, but you cannot lay the burden of leading a righteous life on the shoulders of the Holy Fathers. Who will you blame when beasts crawl out of those amulets you stole from the heretics? The Holy Father who was not there, or the scavenger who brought evil down on himself and his neighbors? We were attacked on the way here. How do you explain that? Here's an explanation for you. The people have been pushed to their limit, now they're lashing out. As if we don't know why these top deck units are being sent down here, like that one there that the lieutenant won't let past. Our clans are all inside the bay that's been sealed off, but the lower decks are big. I'm sure there are some people who have had just about enough. We're getting it from all sides. The soldiers have encircled the ones who've risen up. The death squad has just arrived. It's no wonder folks are lashing out. And their words seem sincere to you. Their body language and the glances traded between them reveal the news of the attack has shocked them. Abelard, do you have anything to add? I authorize the use of all necessary measures to locate Chaos worshippers hiding in this sector. The specific steps taken by the officers were not reported to me. Abelard frowns, clearly disgruntled at having to explain himself in the workers' presence. Nevertheless, I am certain that their actions were justified. Cultists are no drunken stevedores. They are the enemy and a threat to the ship. Neutralizing them demands decisive action. What changes do you want? Would you look at this? The exalted Lord Captain himself is asking us bildrats what we want. Well, here's what. We want you to rein in your damned enforcers. But turning off the heat and stop battering everything that moves. No, that's not it. We want the enforcers gone from here. And we want to be armed. Give us arms and we'll govern ourselves. We'll defend ourselves if these cultists do show their faces. I've been leader of my clan for 20 years now. Getting rid of these club-wielding thugs can only improve things around here. You've gone too far, old man. They'll never let maggots on the lower decks live without the enforcers breathing down their necks. They probably even insist on enforcers being on the upper decks, too. As for weapons, what do we need them for? Before the day is out, we'll have someone shooting their neighbor out of stupidity or drunkenness. We don't need that. If the enforcers stop hassling us, that'll be enough. In return, we'll find the scavengers who robbed the cultist bodies, and we'll talk to them, one lower decker to another. If there are any more of those damned amulets about, we'll hand them over to the enforcers ourselves. You speak for yourself and your clan, and I'll speak for me and mine. I don't want empty gestures, I want real change. I'll promise us the world now, but as soon as the Anointed One turns his back, these brutes will be on us even harder than before, all because we dared speak out. The tall worker's eyes dart between the two arguing leaders. Every few seconds he opens his mouth as if planning to agree, but each time he falls silent, simply making a few vague noises of approval. Spreading anarchy on the ship is the first step toward embracing chaos. Putting weapons into untrained hands would be even worse. What's more, the enforcers are needed to maintain oversight and order. Withdraw those demands and we will consider the rest. Fine, I'll give order for the enforcers to be withdrawn from the sector and you will be given weapons. Let's see how you cope governing yourselves and what difference it makes. I say I want to give them what they want. Because there is the element of it's difficult to trust a group of people given a lot of power with very, very little oversight. And that's clearly the issue that's going on here, is that these enforcers are given a lot of power and no real oversight as to what they're doing. And that seems to be how this came to a head. The thing is, I feel like just letting them govern themselves might be bad. Like, legitimately, what needs to happen is these people need to be better informed and a closer eye needs to be kept on the area. The thing is, the majority of these people are loyal and have very little reason to cause problem. And probably the enforcers kill as many people as these people would kill if I just armed them all. I could try it. Make it the grand experiment. Just pull the enforcers from this sector and see how it goes. The thing is, they aren't wrong. Even if I give the promise, oh yeah, I'll rein in the enforcers and put a tighter watch on everything at their level. That doesn't guarantee anything will actually change or stay changed. That's the thing with this kind of game. You don't know what's going to turn out. I'm just going to pull the enforcers. Abelard is mad. I'm okay with that. Sorry, buddy. This is my great experiment. Can you trust people to actually govern themselves? The answer might surprise you. Profit factor lost 1. See, I wonder if that's supposed to be like a sign of, ah, yeah, the lower decks are less efficient now without the oversight. Good riddance to the executioners. Freedom for Depot 4. All hail the Lord Captain, all hail. You can count on us, your lordship. We'll find the cultist foulness if any of our people have taken possession of it. This does raise the concern that later on I'm going to get a report from the lower decks. Ah, yes, everyone on the lower decks is turned into chaos demons, and the ship is now full of Zongors.
Rise to the top, or get left in the dust.
This page is where the start of each shift is marked. The last mark is missing. The workers went on strike.
This ocular implant was a worthwhile investment.
Always keep your eye on the price.
That was a perception check I just heard. What did he see? Oh. Manometer. This gauge shows that the steam pressure in this pipe is close to the maximum. However, yep. This is the log. I found the log. However, it does not reach the bars at the other end. Oh, is that what I'm... Oh. Is that... Is it the thing I saw earlier that I couldn't touch? Perhaps turning a different valve will work. Oh no, it's a puzzle.
Always have a backup plan. Is there money to be made?
Okay, where all are these valves? Gotta be... Here's one. Huge pipes. Okay, that spread it to go through there. Stopping unexpectedly, Abelard imperiously dismisses the unit to stand at a distance and addresses your other companion, saying, I have an urgent matter to discuss with the Lord Captain. Please give us a moment. What you get for trusting people in 40K? Abelard looks at you and his last vestiges of restraint vanish. Well, Are you pleased with your investigation, Lord Captain? You kowtowed to the disloyal rabble, or still you put weapons in their hands. Now we do not simply have an untrustworthy mob in the hold, we have a mob that is armed. Next time they decide to start an uprising, it will be far bloodier. That is, of course, if they don't accidentally wipe themselves out first. Is that how you see your future at the helm of the Von Valancius Protectorate? There is some truth to your criticism. These are things I expected. I should say so. Abelard heaves a sigh, but he visibly relaxes. You simply needed to trust me. I would have handled the situation myself had you not decided to intervene, Abelard says irascibly. Remember Lord Captain Theodora? Do you think she ever set one slippered foot on the lower decks? No, she did not. Such matters were left to myself and the junior officers while she dedicated to herself to her grand designs for the Protectorate, as any true strategist and rogue trader ought. Okay, I'm not going to, number one's bad. I am not going to stand here and wound her name in front of him. That seems like a good way to get him to take that chainsword to me. I would be only too willing to trust in my seneschal and not fill my head with such matters, but the situation had spiraled out of your control, Abelard. Give me a reason why I should continue listening to your advice and trusting your judgment. Right now, I don't see any. Maybe insulting Theodora is the play. Let's just hope he doesn't kill me. Ooh, he's mad. Abelard looks at you stunned and exhales loudly, and then he nods curtly. I commend your decisiveness, but I am uncomfortable with introducing new protocols in the midst of a crisis. And Abelard stands straight at attention. I lost my temper, Lord Captain. I believe I ought to explain myself. Abelard speaks slowly, the words not coming easily to him. The prosperity of the Von Valancius Protectorate is not just an empty phrase to me. I left the Imperial Navy for the chance to see it flourish. It was the most momentous decision of my life. I did it because I saw in Lord Captain Theodora's deeds a sign of true greatness. Rogue traders do not simply forge new routes and capture worlds, they create order out of anarchy. That creative impulse was entirely lacking during my time in the military. So I left behind everything I had known, everything my family had known. I come from a long line of officers, and I embarked upon this incredibly reckless venture. Lord Captain Theodora entrusted me with all the concerns she had no time for. She would go off on her flagship for long periods to distant frontiers, on scouting voyages, and the advancement of the entire Protectorate rested on my shoulders. And then suddenly everything that had been built over years and years began to quake, rattling like a flimsy hangar in a seismically active world. One of the senior officers betrayed us all. The rogue trader was killed, and who knows what is happening on the planet. I tell you this honestly, without fear of appearing weak. All this has come as a grievous blow to me. I am not panicking or grieving because I cannot allow myself to panic or grieve. I am duty-bound to aid the new rogue trader, to aid you. To find your footing as quickly as possible, and to do that, I must insulate you from problems that in the past have been dealt with by tried and tested procedures set out in the ship's regulations. Procedures that were established long ago and have functioned smoothly for decades cannot suddenly be deemed access to requirements. But I think they can, because things do still go wrong. And just because it's worked so far doesn't mean it can't work better. Theodora trusted in established procedures and she died. I won't make the same mistake. If you want to keep building the future of the Von Valancius Protectorate with me, stop living in the past. Harsh. I'm ripping him apart. I'm ripping this man's heart out. I understand, but you need to learn to respect me as your Lord Captain and Rogue Trader. Accept it and start living in the new world. A world where Theodora is gone and where you and I have new decisions to make. That one's a little more diplomatic. No, I'm gonna be brutal. I'm gonna be brutal with him. It's hard. It's hard. Yes, Lord Captain. After a moment's silence, he adds, looking at you with interest, your resolve is admirable and demonstrates strong leadership. I shall remember this moment, should my old habits ever begin to creep back in. I'm ripping the poor guy's heart out, but I think it's for the best. Now, please, let us leave the lower decks. If the rogue trader desires to stretch his legs, there are far more suitable places. Places without puddles of goo on the floor. Can I turn it now? Nothing is happening. Oh, this one. I'm missing one somewhere. There's too many. Oh my. Is it just this one? No, it's not that one. And I can't unturn them, so it's not like... So it's not like a routing puzzle, it's just that they all have to be activated in a specific order. So I'm missing one somewhere. I'm losing my fragging mind.
Always keep your eye on the prize.
Another one back here? Oh. And the horrible thing is, I don't think this game has a shortcut to show all interactables. Which is one downside of this game. It's Gotta be around here somewhere. Worst way to spend your time in a CRPG, looking for a valve. Where? This? Oh. I didn't see this one earlier. Oh.
Let us not dawdle.
It doesn't help that the ceiling is made of pipes that fill your vision.
Rise to the top or get left in the dust.
I'm missing something somewhere.
I always keep my options open.
I don't see another valve. And every other valve that I've touched is nothing.
I always have a backup plan.
The end point. Can I follow the pipes? Is following the pipes? That looks like it feeds into there and then comes over here. I don't see anything over here that I can interact with. There's steam coming out of this one, so it feels like it should be here. Back here. Steam coming out of there. Pipe going down through there.
Is there money to be made?
There's a big one right here. Oh my god, there's so many valves! Didn't do anything?
Keep your wits about you.
I'm missing one valve somewhere. I'm gonna lose my mind. Oh, boy, it's like past 7 o'clock. Okay, well, apparently I'm saving finishing the most mind-numbing problem for the next time I play this game. Thank you guys for hanging out. It has been lovely, lovely fun playing this game and chattering. Had a good time yapping. I must go to work. I will try. Unfortunately, the rest of my day is work, so there's only so much enjoyment to be had there. What is today? Thursday? I think so. This week is going faster than I thought it would. Good night. Oh, damn. I wish the rest of my day was cake.